walking, metro rides, station changes, more walking. I must be back in Barcelona for Mobile World Congress. Due to the location of this venue, this is how every day starts and ends, making this event even more unique than it already is.
We're in Mobile World Congress 2024. It's my fourth time, but Vic, welcome to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mobile World Congress.
This is amazing.
Yeah, the scale of this conference is unbelievable. 95,000 people from every corner of the globe. Focuses on the mobile industry, but obviously there's a lot more to it than that.
It's basically technology.
Yeah, technology. Yeah, so, like you were saying earlier, like it's Mobile World Congress, but what's not mobile anymore?
Right. It's just technology world, or the world now.
Yeah. So join us as we take you inside this event. We'll show you around some of the booths. We'll do some interviews. We'll have our kind of daily takeaways, as well as a recap at the end. So y'all stick around.
Day one kicked off with keynotes. We first heard from the GSMA director, where he talked about their goals and talked about their Open Gateway initiative. We also heard from industry executives from across the telecom spectrum, including Vodafone, Telefonica, China Mobile, and more. And we even got to hear from Microsoft, which kind of hammered home the idea of this Open Gateway, kind of talking about it from the developer side and what this is going to mean to them. Part of the fun of Mobile World is wandering around to the different booths. This is the Lenovo booth where they had the Yoga dual screen laptop. They have a transparent screen laptop, which is kind of crazy. They have like a bendable phone that they were showing. And then we went to another booth that had this lunar rover that they're going to be deploying in a couple years to the moon. And of course there was AI, like this AI visual and voice digital assistant. Then there was this great panel, The Metaverse is Dead, Long Live the Metaverse. I love the title. Hosted by my new friend, Amy Peck. But now here are our takeaways from day one.
So hello from Barcelona. This is the end of day one at Mobile World Congress. This is my fourth MWC, but Vic?
And my first time.
So tell me about day one. What'd you think?
Oh man, I am so worn out. It's completely overwhelming, but just incredibly interesting. To see all of these companies that we don't normally see in the United States. Certainly all the Chinese companies and all these products. And we're stuck in the age of AI.
Yep.
It was the same in Enterprise Connect. That's all. Everything is AI powered.
Yeah, and
the coffee machines are AI powered here.
Yeah, and then the carriers are trying to get into the game, because they're just losing out on revenue by not being a part of that. So, that was one of the clear messages. AI, and then also their APIs, their integrations, and that's crazy for me. The carriers are saying, "Oh, we're going to open up our networks, and we're going to allow API access." And well, it's happening, and particularly in Europe because
they're regulating it.
Well, no, but they've got to find ways to make money, and they're really struggling just with the economics of the market here. So that's fascinating to me, and it opens up so many cool opportunities when you can start to leverage some of the power, some of the information that they have for companies to be able to build apps to leverage that. I think is real exciting. Right. So any other last kind of impressions of just the event itself?
We were talking earlier, to me, it feels like some kind of interesting corporate Burning Man event. It has that scale of they've created a city basically.
Yeah.
And all of these booths are like these little camps, and you have there's the in crowd and the out crowd, and are you going to get to the inner part? And so it's just a fascinating cultural. You can tell a lot is going on behind the scenes here.
Yeah, and calling them booths sometimes is an understatement. These are little villages inside of a giant hall.
Have we been upstairs in any booths yet?
No, we haven't made it up
to
the...
That's our goal tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the goal, get upstairs.
Get to the penthouse.
Yeah, but lots of good stuff coming up tomorrow and Wednesday as well. We'll be doing some daily recap videos. So thanks so much for watching. Y'all join us tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks.
Day two started with a tour of the TCL booth where I got to see this new tablet that has that paper-like display, except it's color and can do video. I got to play around with a couple of different glasses they're working on, including their augmented reality glasses that actually are in a pretty small form factor. They have an AI virtual assistant built in it and show some promise for the future of augmented reality.
There's so many booths here, you can't even see them all. But one of my favorites is the Xiaomi booth because they just have so much cool stuff. It's technology we don't see a lot in the US, some very innovative stuff. So let me just take you on a quick tour and look around the booth. We've got Xiaomi phones, Xiaomi smartwatches, we got tablets, we have foldable tablets over here. More phones. We have vacuums, washing machine. We've got all kind of smart home stuff here.
But the best thing at Xiaomi is CyberDog 2, and as luck would have it, I got to see CyberDog 2 and an actual dog together, which was pretty crazy. That evening, we got to share with some master's students at a local university about what's going on at MWC, technology, AI, and more. But now for our day 2 takeaways.
Well, day 2, Vic.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Whew. Man, I'm sore. I'm tired. I don't know how many miles I walked today.
Well, we walked about 7 miles yesterday.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure similar today.
Yeah.
So what did you find? What was interesting to you today, Tom?
You know, today was really cool. I got to meet with the folks at TCL. You know, and they make TVs and displays and kind of all that kind of stuff. But they, you know, they also
The ones
are.
I get at Costco, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're really good now. You know, and they also make smartphones. So I got to see their smartphones and tablet lineup, which was interesting because they're using that kind of ink paper technology.
I like that.
So you get a matte screen that looks good in the sun, but it can transition to a full color experience as well. And you can watch video on these devices too. Which is really cool. So that's new and very interesting. They had smart glasses, which allow you to have a large display in your glasses, and then they also had their augmented reality glasses that are standalone. They don't require to be plugged into a phone or a PC or anything. And it had an AI agent called Grace, which is my daughter's name. Hi, Grace. And Grace, the AI assistant, was needs a little work, but still.
That's all.
But having that is, yeah. But you could, you know, say, "What am I looking at?" And Grace would tell you what you're looking at, and you know, it was. You can just see where that technology is headed for sure. Yeah. So that was kind of my morning. What was your morning like?
Well, I was at a really interesting session on digital identity and how mobile operators have a huge role to play. Although it's kind of interesting, like they seem to be reluctant in this role. But it was, I got to hear all about the new EU digital wallet, which is incredibly innovative, and I'm super excited about that. I mean, I think as consumers, this is a game changer. And so I'm going to keep looking in that space, and you know, I really enjoyed also just kind of going to all the little obscure booths and technology, and you know, these companies from all over the world. You know, you have these booths that are by region basically. It's like, okay, now here's the Korea booth, or here's the you know, the Africa booth, or there was one from Colombia, and then I turned around and then Illinois. Like, out of all the states, why
good for
Illinois?
you? Good for you.
Yeah, go
good for you,
Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, what a, you know, hey, Illinois, we got to go to Spain. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some other interesting things too. We went by Qualcomm and got to see like all of, they're making a lot of the smart glasses and VR stuff, and even powering the Ray-Bans, which I've worn the last 2 days. We'll talk about that a little bit maybe tomorrow in the video, but got to see all of that, and then got to meet the folks at InReach. So they're like in the unified communications contact center business. But they're here because they have a mobility story too, and they own mobility assets, and they've kind of got direct integration with the phone, so that kind of similar to maybe what some other folks are doing like Microsoft, but they're doing it and primarily in Europe. but really giving a unified experience. And it's cool because there's regulated businesses where you need to record calls, but people just want to use their cell phone. They don't want a desk phone. They just want to be able to, and you can't forward calls to their phone because then it doesn't get recorded, and you don't have the AI intelligence now to help you with that call or provide information about the person that's calling you. So they're wrapping all that up in some pretty unique ways. So it was great to get an introduction to them.
All right, well, that's day 2, huh?
Day
and
2.
We're off to the university tonight.
Yeah, I was super excited to be going to meet with the faculty and students at the university, and that's why we're fueling up with some a little bit of coffee here before we go. But yeah, day 2 has been great. Day 3, we'll kind of wrap things up tomorrow, and super excited about that. So we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Day 3 started with a visit to the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. The theme for this year's MWC, and last year's for that matter, centered around APIs. And so the carriers are building APIs to open up their networks to application developers. So I thought, what better place to explore this concept than my friends at KPASA.
Tell me a little bit about your involvement here at Mobile World Congress. I mean, like, some people might be like, what does CPaaS and Mobile World Congress have to do with each other?
Yeah. Actually, as you look at the tracks this year, so GSMA introduced Telco APIs Open Gateway Initiative last year. And this year, when you look at the tracks, we counted 26 tracks.
Wow.
Just around APIs, telco APIs, and anything around that CPaaS type of a thing this year. So when you ask the question, how do they fit together? I think GSMA pretty much answered that with their programming this year.
It's crazy for me, being in the industry for decades, that these carriers are actually starting to be open now.
Yeah.
And, like, I never thought I would see that day.
Well, if you listen to the keynote, you actually had the Vonage CEO up on stage talking about partnerships and how telcos need to get out of the mindset of let's build it our own and let's start to partner. And that's really what the Alliance is about, is building that partnership. And we've seen that really take off over the last years. That mentality has changed.
Well, I know you guys have a partnership now with the GSMA. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're really excited about this. I think we've got a unique situation where, because of our membership, we have such a broad ecosystem. Right?
Yeah.
And I think between all of them, they probably represent, who knows, maybe 1 million plus developers.
Yeah.
Which on the other side of that then is a whole grundle of enterprises.
Yeah.
And what's missing kind of in this whole storyline is, how are we going to monetize all this really new, cool technology and these new concepts? And we're in a unique position through these relationships and our members, where we really focus on the soft side of the business, as you know, and what are the use cases? How do you price for this? How do you take it to market? What are the channels? And so because of that background, we're able to kind of act as a proxy back to this new ecosystem that's being developed around the telco APIs and OGI. And so that's what GSMA has asked us to do. So we'll be working with our members to help bring forth monetization models, use cases, because if we can't get people to pay for it and take it to market, what's the use, right?
And we're really doubling down on the telco industry, because we see it's really the next phase for CPaaS, right? It's that blend with the network. It used to be, we have the network and then the smart kids can build something on top of it, and now we have Twilio and Infobip and this and that. And it all started with messaging, which was 10 years ago. CPaaS is not messaging, right? CPaaS is all the smart stuff that you can do with IoT, with AI, with AR, all the stuff that you also report on all the time. That's the next thing, and that's all about CPaaS and all about APIs and bringing people together. So I think, and I find that atmosphere here more than in previous years, which is cool. It's a good step.
Another key part of Mobile World Congress for me is the educational tracks, and so I was able to attend several sessions on satellite and kind of this convergence of satellite communications and terrestrial communications. Great information. A great panel kind of going through where we're at and where we're going in regards to these technologies.
All right, day 3, Mobile World Congress, Vic. We're a little tired, but it's really been a great day. As we kind of wrap up our coverage of the event, it winds down tomorrow, kind of what's your big takeaway this year's MWC?
Well, I mean, my takeaway, the thing that I saw that excited me the most was this open gateway, and the fact that, I think mobile operators are getting serious about opening up their networks. I think it's really smart. I think, we have open compute, we have open storage, and now they're going to unlock open networks, and I think that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, the question will be, can the carriers who have been closed, to an extreme for their entire existence, can they flip that switch and say, okay, now we're open?
Well, the challenge for them is they need to monetize their investment in 5G.
Yeah.
And they're all like, hey, we built this thing, it cost us a fortune, and the over-the-top providers are making all the money. So they want to get in on that action.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I know you're very passionate about is identity. And we did hear a lot about identity, here at the conference. What are your kind of takeaways from that, the identity side of the story?
I think, and this goes back to the API, you're going to see applications where app developers, instead of asking you to, respond to a text or second factor authentication, are just going to go to the mobile network operators, read the information they have associated with your SIM or your phone number, and you're in.
Yeah, well, it's funny, the operators were trying to buy companies and sell stuff they don't have, and then they tried to sell music and apps, and then Apple kind of broke that whole model. But now they can sell what they do have, which is intelligence. It's intelligence, not just the network, but intelligence that comes from that network. And the only way they can really build that out is to build an ecosystem with APIs, with developers, and companies that are willing to kind of dig into that and make these things that we need as consumers, make them happen.
Yeah. Well, how about you? What was your takeaway?
Well, I think that's the big one. And it was announced last year when I was here. It's good to see there's development. We talked to Infobip today, talking about their work in Brazil, where they've gotten all three carriers on board with this kind of concept. So it's good to see it in the works, but it's going to take time. It's a big change for the industry. We heard from the European carriers that are really struggling financially, so they're motivated to figure this out. There was a lot of talk about AI. I don't know how much there's good stuff behind the scenes that help the operators manage their business and customer service and networks, but we're just starting to see what AI might do from a mobility perspective.
And I felt like, when we're at a customer service or CPaaS focused event, I mean, there's a little bit of it here. We saw that from the CPaaS Alliance. But, I think that's an area where agent assist and AI self-service, that's where we're going to see it first.
I love looking at devices. Like, I'm a hardware guy too, and just kind of nerding out.
Like, Nick, look at this other phone. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, we saw the Xiaomi phone that had the 1-inch Leica sensor, which was really, really great camera quality. We saw some foldables. I was just at the Honor booth and saw a 9mm thick foldable. It's just light as a feather. Really, really great device. We saw some prototypes for the wraparound devices that could go on your arm. We're seeing innovation there, and at some point, Samsung and Apple and those guys they're gonna have to up their game a little bit because we're getting to the point now where these devices really are cool, and they're not just cool, but like the foldable, if it's a high enough quality, heck yeah, I want a device that gets bigger when I unfold it, that has about the same thickness as an iPhone. So
I don't know.
So I think
I'm going to stick with Apple. But there's no Apple here, so I'm not,
Well, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, a lot of these are products we can't even buy in the U.S. But it's good to see them. It's good to see what the rest of the world's doing from a mobility perspective.
Right.
And we know that, eventually that's where we'll end up. But, it's still cool to see. And there was some gimmicky stuff. The Lenovo laptop that's very cool. It has a transparent screen. Like, I don't know why we need a transparent screen on a laptop, but it looks cool, but it's good to see that kind of innovation. And as we kind of close things out, I think it's been a hugely successful event here. 95,000 people. as we said, from around the world. And
I certainly learned a lot. I mean, I'll be digesting all the things that I saw for the next 6 months. And, but it's been really cool to get outside of the U.S., see a different perspective, and just kind of get my mind blown a few times.
Yeah, I was in a session on non-terrestrial networks and the convergence of cellular and satellite communications.
Yeah. I wanted one of those Sky phones.
I know.
Sky Mobile or whatever.
Yeah. There was a bunch of.
What are the carriers going to do if it all goes up in the sky?
Well, they're gonna
be sitting around polishing their 5G antennas. And nobody's using them, right?
Well, I think the plan is now that there'll be standards that converge them. So you'll just get a cellular or a satellite add-on to your cell plan.
Yeah.
They may be the best delivery model for that. So I think.
Yeah, we don't need to spring wires all over the world.
I think the story is here one of those coming together.
Yeah.
And so I think there seems to be a lot of cooperation and
partnership. It certainly helps people in developing areas and rural areas that, they get to actually, there's a leveling of the playing field.
Yeah. Well, one of the providers said one of the fastest growing areas for satellite is IoT, and it's agriculture. Is there in remote areas and these giant farms that they don't have cell towers on them. So satellite IoT is huge for them. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that is why you come to this event.
Yeah. Never thought of that.
Yeah, that and the food, it's just been incredible. This gorgeous city and the damn beers with 2 M's. It's really been a great time. Thank you for sharing this with me. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to come along and helping me get here. And it's been great.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys next time on the Your Call is Very Important to Us podcast on my video channel on Convergence. Thanks so much for watching our video, and we'll see you soon.
All right.